Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Shelly. I am currently a 6th grade teacher in Northern California. However, I'm taking my teacher hat off today, as you can tell by the title of this video. This is a very highly requested video. So today I'm going to be answering all of your questions about my pregnancy. If you are new here, I am currently pregnant with my very first baby. We are over the moon excited, and today I'm gonna answer all of your questions. So before we jump in, y'all asked so many questions, which is amazing and the whole reason we're doing this video. That being said, this might be a little bit longer than normal. I am going to try and push through these questions as quickly as I can, but there's a lot that you guys want to know, and I feel like I owe it to you to give you that. So grab a snack, grab something to drink, have a seat. It's gonna be fun. So I think before I jump into all of the really meaty questions, a lot of you are asking me really basic stuff. My due date, how far along I am, can we see the belly, things like that. I'm gonna just lay it all out there, and then I'm gonna break this Q&A up into two kind of sections. There were a lot of questions just about pregnancy in general, and then there were a lot of questions about how this is affecting my teaching career and questions specific to maternity leave and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna start with like the general pregnancy questions, and then we'll shift kind of into the teaching pregnancy questions. And hopefully by the end of this, all your questions will be answered and you'll be filled in on this crazy journey that we've been on. It's been beautiful, and I'm so grateful that I'm able to go through this. On top of that, I feel like I do need to say, I will not stand for mom shaming of me or anybody down below. So if you're gonna be nasty in the comments, I'm just gonna block you, so please don't do it. I've created a really supportive, amazing community here, and I wanna keep it that way. So try and stay positive. Every pregnancy, every baby, every mama is different. Keep that in mind before you say something that you think might offend me or somebody else, because this is one thing that I will get protective over and defensive over, and I don't want that to happen. So let's keep it friendly. Okay, so let's jump right in. I am going to be 34 weeks pregnant tomorrow, which is insane. I am due February 16th, 2020. So we have about 6 weeks to go. That's assuming he's on time, he's not early, or he's not late. So let me give you a little bit of a belly shot and where I'm at 34 weeks. So as you can see, I have a basketball in my stomach. Some other kind of generic questions that I just want to get out of the way. This is our first baby. We are planning on having 2 kids. I say planning loosely because we really want 2 kids, but you never really know what's gonna happen. But 2 is kind of our magic number right now. And we do know the sex of the baby. We are having a little baby boy. So I sat down and I went through every single question, and I smashed a lot of them together. So if I kind of tweaked or reworded your question, it's because I tailored it like with another question so I could get it all done in one, if that makes sense. I have like 20 questions on here, and like I said, I'm gonna try and get through these as quickly as I can. However, some of them just take a little bit more time, so I'm gonna quit rambling now and jump right in. The first question I was asked was, how many weeks were you when you found out you were pregnant, and did you have any telling symptoms? So I don't know if I've really shared this before, but the very first time we actually got pregnant was the month prior. I ended up losing that pregnancy very early at like 4 or 5 weeks. I probably wouldn't even have known that I was pregnant if I wasn't so crazy and taking tests, but this time around, because of what happened the first time, I was a little bit more apprehensive. We still found out at about 5 weeks, and it was the very next month after. So we got very lucky in that sense. I had no symptoms. None, which is crazy because I know everyone's like, oh, you get nauseous, blah, blah, blah. In the very beginning, before I found out, I had no symptoms. So I was like, no, I don't think it happened this month, whatever, we'll move on. And little did we know. The next question says, what have your major symptoms been, and how have they changed from trimester to trimester? Okay, I need to preface this with saying I genuinely feel like I've had it pretty easy. If you've ever been pregnant before, you know that when you're talking to moms that have had babies, a lot of times the horror stories come out, right? Like all the negative things that I'm going to experience and blah, blah, blah. And to be completely honest with you, I feel like compared to some stories, I've had it really easy, and I'm super grateful. So I'm gonna break it down trimester to trimester. That way I can hit all of this question. So in the very first trimester, The biggest symptom that I felt was just pure exhaustion. It was like a level of tired I have never experienced before. I am generally a pretty energetic, proactive, productive person, and that first trimester put me on my butt. Luckily, I was on summer break, so I was not teaching. I genuinely don't know how I would have done it. I'm sure there's people that do it every single day, and I would have figured it out, but I was on summer break. So my first trimester was just a lot of exhaustion. I didn't have a lot of morning sickness. I had maybe a week where I was just like a little bit queasy, but nothing crazy. I know, again, some women are nauseous their whole pregnancy. I do not know how you do it. And then the only other really big thing in the first trimester was I had a lot of food aversions. Like, I didn't want to eat anything, which we'll talk about food in a little bit because it came up, but I didn't want to eat hardly anything except for like bread those first like 12 weeks. So that was the first trimester. Second trimester was amazing. I felt the best in my second trimester. I had so much more energy. The only bad symptom that I had was when we were in Hawaii, I had horrible lower back pain for like 6 days. I ended up going to see my chiropractor and I haven't really had much since. I always have back pain, that's just how my body works, but I had horrible, horrible, horrible back pain those 6 days, but the second trimester for me was the best. And now that I am into my third trimester, this has definitely been the hardest trimester. The exhaustion has creeped back up. I find that not quite like first trimester tired, but I'm definitely hitting a wall at a certain point of the day where I'm like, I can't function. And then sleeping gets really hard. I mean, clearly you're carrying something that you don't normally have. And so trying to get comfortable, you're going to the bathroom a lot. Sleeping's been a little bit rough, but those have really been my main symptoms. I haven't really had heartburn. I haven't had a third trimester nausea. Out of the really nasty symptoms, I haven't had a lot of, which I'm super grateful again. So that's kind of been the main symptoms that I've experienced throughout this pregnancy. And again, I feel really lucky that it hasn't been worse. In an attempt to blow through these, let's go. The third question says, have you had any weird cravings? Okay, this is like the one question everybody asks you, and I'm also guilty of asking pregnant women this because it's just fascinating, right? We want to know what people are eating. For me, my weird cravings aren't weird to the general public, right? They're just weird for me because they're not things that I would ever eat had I not been pregnant. So like I said in the beginning, my biggest thing was just aversions. Like, I did not want anything. I generally have a really healthy diet. I like chicken, I like vegetables, I like to keep things pretty clean. And in the beginning, I wanted nothing. Like, meat sounded horrible, vegetables sounded disgusting. I literally wanted nothing but bread. So in this first trimester, the weirdest thing that I was eating was like bagels with peanut butter and jelly. I loved peanut butter and jelly, and Chris was like, what? Like, you've never eaten a peanut butter and jelly the entire 7 years we've been together? And it's true. Like I said, I normally don't eat that stuff, and it was what I wanted and it's what I ate. In the second trimester, it got a little bit better. Luckily, I had food prepped for my lunches, so I was still eating pretty consistently like healthy foods throughout my lunch. Now that we're in the third trimester, I haven't really had like cravings as much as I just have had an aversion to cooking. I normally love to cook. Again, I like to eat really clean. The thought of cooking makes me want to die. So with that comes eating out a lot more. So my like cravings have just been anything that I do not have to make, which of course is a lot less healthy. So like my weird cravings aren't, again, things that are weird, they're just things that I normally wouldn't eat. Like McDonald's. A McChicken from McDonald's. You guys, the baby just kept thinking about it. Like, I never eat McDonald's, but for some reason during this pregnancy, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I think I'm gonna have that. But I've been really good about just listening to my body. Obviously not overdoing it with like unhealthy foods and things, but I'm also, like I said, listening to my body. The thing about the third trimester too is it's a lot harder to eat. I find that I get full in like 2 bites, so eating really small meals. I have been trying to get fruits and vegetables in because I know that that's really healthy and good for the baby and good for me and things like that. So, I don't know. Nothing super crazy, just things that have been like weirder for me. Next question. What has been the most unexpected thing about being pregnant? Ooh. This is a really good question. I think, and I hope, again, every pregnancy is different. The most unexpected thing is honestly how great it's been. I have some women in my life that haven't had the easiest pregnancies, so I was genuinely expecting it to be very, very, very hard and just like trying, and the biggest shock to me was how easy it's been for me. And again, I'm very grateful for that, but that was the biggest thing that shocked me. And the next question says, what are the best and worst parts about pregnancy? So maybe I'll just throw these two together. The best part about pregnancy for me is being able to feel him move. Anytime I'm having like a rough day or I'm tired, I'm on the couch, my back hurts or something like that, and he moves, I'm just like, this is the coolest thing in the world. And just the fact that our bodies can do this is just like mind-blowing to me. So that's been the absolute best part, just knowing that like I'm creating something that is half me and half the love of my life. Oh, I could cry just thinking about it. And then the worst parts have been the symptoms that I've mentioned. The exhaustion for me is like, it's so frustrating when your brain wants to do all of these things. You're like, I want to do this, 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 and this. And your body is like, no, sweet girl, have a seat on the couch, take a nap, because that's all you're gonna get to do today. That's been the hardest part for me, so. Then I got a slew of questions asking about our birth process. Are we having a home birth? Are we going to the hospital? Do we have a midwife? Do we have a doula? Are you getting an epidural? Things like that. So I'm just gonna quickly walk you kind of through our birth plan, I say that very lightly. That way you kind of have an idea of what we are planning on doing. So I am a very easygoing, laid back person, but I also have done a lot of research on the birthing process, because that's just who I am. I like to know what I'm getting into. So I do have a plan, which I will share with you in a minute. However, I'm also very aware that things can happen. My biggest thing was I did not want to walk into the hospital with this concrete plan and then everything go awry and then I'm just like, ah, and just makes the process 10 times worse. So I have what I want. However, I'm very open to shifting things if need be. So ideally, right, perfect world scenario, my water breaks, I labor at home for as long as possible, we go to the hospital, I'm like 5 or 6 centimeters dilated, I'm in labor for like 2 or 3 hours, I get no epidural, the baby comes out healthy, like that would be key. Now I know that that's like few and far between. However, that's how both my mom's pregnancies went, so I'm like, please. So we are going to a hospital to have our baby. We do not have a midwife, we have an OBGYN. My hospital has a doula program. I'm going to see how that works once I get there. I personally do not want to have an epidural. Now, it's a very controversial topic, I get it. I think it's important to know why you're making that choice. I know they're very safe. I know that it takes the pain away. I know all of that. However, for me personally, it's just not something that I want to do. I kind of want to have this experience of bringing a child into the world, and all of the strong women in my life that came before me were able to do it without an epidural. So I just kind of want to have that experience. That being said, if I get to the hospital, nothing's progressing, I have been dying in labor for 5 to 17,000 hours, whatever, and I'm over it, I have no problem saying, all right, I'm throwing in the towel, give me the epidural. It just kind of depends how the labor plays out. I am pretty strong-willed. It's gonna take a lot of hours and a lot of pain for me to give in. However, I am gonna let my body and my brain make that choice when the time comes. And that's where I'm gonna leave that. I know you don't get a gold trophy or a gold star for not having an epidural. That's not why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it to prove anything to anybody. It's just something that I want for myself. So if you had an epidural, you still brought a baby into this world, you are a warrior. If you didn't have an epidural, good for you. That's just kind of where I'm at. The next slew of questions that came in were all about the baby's name. Are we doing a reveal? How did we get the name? So if you don't follow our family channel, I actually did an entire video that I will link here or down there, wherever, about baby names that I love, but we won't be using, where I kind of go into why we chose the name, what kind of names we like, and things like that. So I have not revealed the name to any of you lovely people. I have told my students the name. I have told people in my life the name. His name sign is hanging in the nursery right over here. But we are not going to share the baby's name probably until he is born. I don't know why. I feel like we get weirdly protective over our baby's name, and it's so silly. But I think it's just something that we're gonna keep secret till the very end. I don't know what else to say other than that. If you want some hints as to the baby's name, go check out the video that I made on our family channel and you can start guessing. But until then, you are going to wait until February. All right, so there's like 2 more pregnancy questions and then we're gonna get into the teaching pregnancy questions, which is probably why most of you are here. So this one says, what was your self-care during pregnancy? Huge, okay. As many of you know, if you've been here, I'm a very big proponent for self-care. And this kind of shifted as my pregnancy progressed. A lot of you also know that I am very active and I enjoy fitness. So for me, the first 2+ trimesters, a big part of my self-care was making sure that I was still working out. Obviously things had to be modified, but being active and moving was a big part of how I felt better. Now I did get to a certain point in my pregnancy where the trainer that I worked out with, a friend of mine, I was only able to see him at 5 a.m., which normally was great for me, but the exhaustion took a whole turn and I could not wake up in the morning. So I had to stop going to him and I ended up just going back to my gym, which did slow down my workout process because I don't have anyone there telling me what to do. However, I've been walking a lot. I'm still getting into the gym when I can. So that was in the beginning a big part of my self-care. Now, a hot shower. Oh my goodness, y'all. I got to a point where I was taking like 3 showers a day. Not even like washing my hair 3 times a day, but like just standing in the hot water. There was something, and still is something, about a hot shower that just brings me back to life. I have some time alone, away from the dogs, away from Chris, and I just love it. That has been like my one thing where I'm like, I'm gonna take a shower and I'm gonna feel good. The other main thing is just really, really listening to my body and telling myself that it is okay to take a nap. I'm not a napper, but I needed to listen to my body throughout this whole pregnancy, and if I had to lay down, I had to give myself a little bit of grace to be like, take a nap, lay down, you will be okay. So just really listening to my body was a way that I took care of myself, to be honest. Moving right along, kind of on the track of fitness, this question was, what is your fitness plan after birth? Again, we don't know how the birthing process is gonna go. I could have an emergency C-section for all I know. So obviously I'm not gonna be working out until I have clearance from my doctor. As soon as I do, I plan on jumping right back in full force. I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna make a really extensive workout plan for myself, and I'm gonna do my best to stick to it. It's gonna be a little bit tricky for timing purposes because obviously I'm gonna have a baby at home that I'm gonna have to take care of, but Chris and I have talked about ways that we're gonna work out our gym schedule so we can both stay in the gym because it's a place where we like to be to, you know, have some us time. So I will keep you more updated on that once it happens, but it is something that I've definitely been thinking about. Okay, I lied. Before we jump into the teacher questions, there were like 6 questions that you guys wanted to know that I could literally answer in like 10 seconds. So we'll call this the rapid fire round. I'm gonna read the question, I'm gonna answer it, and we're gonna slide on. Did you take birthing classes? Yes, we took 2. We took a baby care class and we took a labor class. How did you deal with morning sickness at school? I did not. I am so lucky that I did not, but I did not have morning sickness at school. My 2nd trimester started right when the beginning of the year started. So I was very fortunate to not have that experience. The best and most comfy clothes to wear. I have lived this entire pregnancy in leggings and any type of shirt that covers my tummy. That's quite literally it. Right now I'm actually wearing like stretch pants, which is another good option. I do have a couple pairs of jeans that have like the, you know, over the tummy thing, which are fine, but just a little bit more restricting. So I tend to lean towards leggings and anything that covers my belly. And the last rapid fire, how do you make sleeping comfortable? I'm a stomach sleeper, so obviously that's not an option anymore. For me, I had the pregnancy pillow. Now I'm kind of over that and I just have a pillow between my legs and I've kind of adjusted to sleeping on my side and it's worked for me. Okay, so that leads us right into teaching pregnancy questions. So many of you asked me when I'm leaving for maternity leave, what my plans looked like, blah, 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 blah. So I compiled all that into a list of questions here and I hope that I can answer them all for you to the best of my ability. Here we go. The big thing everyone wanted to know was, when are you leaving for maternity leave and how much time are you taking off? So I am due February 16th. My last day of teaching, assuming he stays in there this long, is February 7th. I'm only taking 1 week prior to my due date. I know that I'm allotted 4 weeks. However, teachers get kind of screwed with maternity leave, which we'll get into in a minute. So I wanted to save as much time as I can. So my last day is February 7th. If I go into labor before that, it just gets adjusted through HR and it is what it is. And as far as how much time I'm taking off, I am taking off the rest of the school year, which is insane. But we sat down and we made that choice together and I'm very, very, very excited to be able to spend that much time with my baby. So I'll be done February 7th and then I won't go back to work until mid-August. So that gives me about 6 months to be home and then we'll go from there. Kind of piggybacking right off that, the next question says, are you returning the next year and are you going to do daycare? So yes, I am very fortunate to where I have a principal in a school that wants me to come back, hopefully. from what they say. So I am gonna be returning next year and the baby will be in daycare. We still have to work out the kinks. I think we're gonna do like maybe a part-time thing. My mom did say that she would commit to a day, which is awesome. So we're gonna work out the kinks, but yes, he will be in some kind of a daycare situation. We do not have the means to not work, so that is our only option. All right, so here we go. Here's the meaty stuff. What was the process for getting maternity leave and do you have any tips? So every state, every district is different. I can only speak from my own personal experience, so I'm gonna do my best to outline how maternity leave works in my district. So teachers in California get 0 paid maternity leave according to the law. Now, some districts pay into that, so you might live in California and be like, well, I had paid maternity leave. That's great. Our governor actually just vetoed a bill that would have given all public school teachers 6 weeks paid maternity leave. So by law, teachers aren't required to have any paid maternity leave. Now, in my district, we are able to save up all of our sick leave time and our PTO time, and we can use that towards our maternity leave. So I think I have about 5 weeks saved up with my sick leave and my PTO that I'm going to use. So I'll have about 5 weeks of paid leave that I have saved up. This stinks because if we have a kid in the next year or two, I'm not gonna have hardly anything in my bank, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So after that runs out, my district does something called differential pay. Because teachers have private disability, we can't go through California disability. However, the disability that our district uses offers differential pay, which means I am paying for my long-term sub and whatever is left over, I get to take home. So it ends up being like a little bit more than a third of what I would normally make that I get for the rest of the time that I am out. So that definitely does help. However, we are obviously going to be taking a pay cut, but we have been budgeting and planning for this for the last 8 months, so we'll be all right. But that's kind of how that worked for us. Now, the process of maternity leave was actually really easy. I called HR, I said, hey, I'm pregnant. What do I need to do? She said, great, call me when you're about 4 months along. I made an appointment, I sat down with them, they laid everything out, your doctor signs the paperwork, and you're good to go. They make it pretty painless, at least for me. So as far as tips, I would just say, do your homework, stay on top of it, contact HR as soon as possible, and then you'll get the ball rolling. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, the next big question I kept getting was, what is your process for leaving for maternity leave? Planning, materials, you guys wanted to know, do you have to plan out the entire rest of the year? Do you leave all the materials out? Like, what are you gonna do? So, I feel like my situation is a little bit unique because I am teaching 6th grade. I only really teach math and science. And both of those subjects, we pretty much teach via the curriculum. So, I am not planning out day by day the rest of the school year. The teacher that is taking over for me has her credential, she's a teacher. I am pretty much going to say, this is now your class and your classroom, you tweak whatever you need to tweak. Here's the curriculum. I am going to leave her like a pacing guide so she knows what she needs to cover, when she needs to cover it. And then I'm gonna leave her the curriculum and that's pretty much it as far as planning lessons. Now, on top of that, I am very fortunate to have a team where we meet pretty much weekly and we stay on the same page with math. And then any other questions she can get answered from my incredible team. We don't plan like more than probably 2 or 3 weeks out in advance. So she'll be a part of the planning process for the rest of the year. So it should be a pretty seamless year for her. And then on top of that, I also am creating a binder for her with everything that she could possibly need. So like the routines and the procedures that we do, any logins that she might need, online assessments, how she can access all of that. I'm not sure what the district actually provides her with, but it's peace of mind for me. And I know that if I were walking into a classroom, I would want some sort of like blueprint of like, okay, just give me the nuts and bolts and then I can supplement as I need. So I am creating that for her. I don't want to show it to you because there's a lot of like personal information in there. So there's really nothing more than what I just mentioned. So I am creating a binder for her. And then other than that, that is pretty much the extent of my planning. Now, had I been teaching 3rd grade the way that I was teaching it the last 2 years and I was going on maternity leave, I'd probably be a little bit more panicked because I stepped away from the curriculum quite a bit. And I supplemented with things that I would create on the fly. So I kind of thought about that. how would I be planning if I was in a different situation? And to be honest with you, I probably would be doing it the same way. I might say, okay, for this last part of the year, we're gonna pull it back and we're gonna go back to the curriculum. We're gonna follow the map, because honestly, at that point, you're just trying to get these kiddos through to the rest of the year. Sorry, my camera died and I can't remember what exactly I was saying, but to kind of wrap this question up, I am giving her the curriculum, I'm giving her a map, a guide, and that's pretty much it. So it's not as stressful as I thought it was going to be. And I am like a little bit nervous to leave all my kiddos with somebody new. But again, I know her and she's an awesome teacher. She subbed for us before. I'm more just nervous to leave my kids because, you know, you get like a bond with them and you get like an attachment. I'm like, but I am gonna go back and visit. Technically, I'm not allowed to, but the principal's like, you can come back at the very end of the day and say hi. So I am fortunate enough to be right around the corner. So I am going to visit my kids. 2 questions left. So this next one says, how was your new school about you taking leave and not coming back? I was extremely nervous to 1, tell my school that I was pregnant because I just got hired, and then 2, let them know that I was not coming back. And I am very fortunate enough to have a principal who's extremely supportive. He pretty much just said, look, family comes first. If you want to take the rest of the year off, you'll have your job waiting for you when you get back. If you don't, great. And honestly, that made it a lot easier for me to say, yes, I am going to take the rest of the year off. Part of that decision was kind of waiting for his response. Because I was at a new school and a new grade level with a new staff, I did want to take that into consideration, and I am very fortunate enough to have that support at my site. So they took it amazing, and I'm very, very grateful for them. So this last question says, what has the biggest challenge been about teaching and being pregnant? That's a loaded question. To be honest, teaching has not changed much. I've had the same philosophy throughout this entire pregnancy, right? I show up and I do what I can for my kids. The only real challenge has been the physical aspect of it. Obviously, you can't be on your feet as long. You have to pee a lot more. You get tired, you get cranky. So the biggest challenges have just been being in control of all of those things. Now, I'm lucky enough to teach kids that are 11, 12 years old, and they really do get it, and they've been pretty awesome throughout this entire experience. So I'm very fortunate in that sense. But the hardest part has definitely just been the physical aspect, as I'm sure you could imagine. He's kicking as we speak. Okay guys, that is gonna end this Q&A. I am officially out of breath. If I have not answered anything and you just have burning questions, go ahead and leave them down below. I will do my best to answer them. I am planning on doing a live birth vlog, so that will all be over on our family channel though, so if you have not, make sure you go subscribe over there. I will link the Coates fam down below. We also have an Instagram now, the Coates fam something. I will link that down below so you can go follow our journey there. So that's gonna wrap up this Q&A. Thank you guys so much always for your love and support. You are amazing. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video.